Hello, welcome back to the house. Hey, I'm standing at the front door. I wish I was opening up and you were actually coming in. But we're still staying at home. I hope it's going as well as possible as we're dealing with all of these things. You know, if I were to actually have you at the door, I'd open it, let you in, shake hands, maybe, how you doing? How you doing? What's going on? And the chances are you'd probably say, oh, it's going fine. Yeah, everything's fine. And they say, how are you doing? And I'd probably say, oh, everything's fine. Really? Is it? Probably if we were to look deeper into each other's eyes, we would see distress, uncertainty, probably some concerns and worries, frustration, a bit of anger, fear, anxiety building. It's possible that we would see all those things because we're going through a pandemic. We're going through something that makes us uneasy at best. And it's very difficult. The disciples of Jesus had that same look. Jesus recognized it in them. John's account of after they had had the supper together, we call it the Last Supper, I think the disciples were feeling pretty good. They still didn't get anything, but Jesus kept saying these weird things like, I'm going to die, I'm going to be turned over to the, and they're just kind of throwing that out of their mind and saying, no, that's not going to happen. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. It's better than fine. We're getting ready to take over. We're getting ready to set up the kingdom. They kind of had that in their mind. Judas, they didn't even realize Judas was off actually plotting to kill Jesus. They thought Judas was off making more preparations and maybe going to help the poor. He talked about that a lot, So maybe he's out there. They're not getting it. So Jesus kind of has them there and he's trying to grab hold of them and say, listen. He starts in chapter 14, as we call it, from John's account of the gospel. Right there in verse 1, he says, don't let your hearts be troubled. Distress. Well, they have that, a little bit of anxiety, but I think for them, it's mostly about the excitement. But he says, don't let your hearts be troubled. Trust God. Trust me. There's plenty of room for all of you. They've been arguing about who's the greatest and all. There's plenty of room, and I'm going to make sure you are where I am, and you know where I'm going. And that's when they say, well, I don't know where you're going. Remember that famous statement that he says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Everybody gets to the Father through me. But he goes on and tries to get them to see that he is going to go away, but he's not going to leave them by themselves. He's going to give them the Holy Spirit. And he comes down to verse 27 of 14, and he says, I leave you with peace. And he probably is speaking Aramaic or Hebrew, and he uses the word shalom. Well, that's kind of a goodbye. Wait a minute, what was he talking about? I leave you with shalom. Yes, we always leave with shalom, but it's not the kind of shalom that the world gives. No. It's the shalom that I am giving. It's that true reality that everything is okay, is going to be okay, even if there's a lot of turmoil all around us. It comes from within. I'm going to give it in a different way than the world gives. So don't let your hearts be troubled or discouraged, he says. And so he goes on and tries to tell them, yes, the Holy Spirit's going to come in. You're not going to be orphaned. He goes into chapter 15. You got to hang tight with me. And there's pruning, but you're going to make fruit. But don't expect the world to appreciate all of this. They're going to hate you like they hate me. He comes to chapter 16 and continues that thought. You're not going to be left alone. And finally he gets down to the end of chapter 16. And he's telling them, listen, I've got to go back to the Father. That's where I came from. And finally they say, hey, we're really getting this. We really believe this. And then Jesus says something very amazing as chapter 16 ends. He says, oh, do you believe now? And we can't grab on the hold of the tone or how he said it, but maybe he's like, okay, you're believing this, you're getting this, but let me tell you something. You're all going to be scattered, and I'm going to be left alone. Even though I'm never really alone, the Father is always with me. Right? But that's what's really going to happen. I appreciate the fact that you're grabbing hold and you're trusting me in this. But this is going to happen. And I'm telling you this. I'm telling you these things so that you can have peace in me. So that the shalom can really come forth from me. He says that. And he says, listen, in this world, you're always going to have trouble and suffering. It's an old English word, tribulations. You're going to have problems. But be of cheer, he says. Or it's take heart. Gain your courage because I have overcome the world. I've overcome all the difficulties. We want that peace, even in this turmoil. We can trust Jesus, but as he says, it's not going to take away the troubles. It doesn't mean that all the sufferings leave us. As a matter of fact, he pinpoints and says, you are going to have troubles and suffering. So many times, what we want to do is deny that there's even any suffering and troubles. Kind of like I think the apostles might have been doing. Everything's fine. No, it's not. It's not fine now. It's trouble. And we're trying to figure out how to deal with this and what it needs to look like. And that's aggravating. That's frustrating. The world maybe want to deny. No. It's real stuff. And so you can try to deny it and find peace. Or you can try to control it and find peace. Or there's all kinds of ways that the world tries to do it, and they try to buy their way out. As long as the outside can get peaceful, we think that we will be at peace. But Jesus says, no, the outside is always going to be in turmoil at some level. Can you get peace from within? So, as in the next few times we get together, I want to talk about peace and anxiety and worry that Jesus takes us through. He talks a lot about it. And let's find his shalom. So just ask yourself, this is a good place to ask yourself, where and how am I finding peace? Do I think if this would just all go away, everything would be fine and I'd be at peace? Am I trying to deny it somehow? Am I trying to get more and more control? Am I trying to get in charge of more things and get more people under me, and so that I kind of get a sense of peace? I don't know. There's all kinds of different ways the world uses. Or am I turning to Jesus and moving closer and closer to him to find his peace? May the God of all peace, who has overcome the world through Jesus Christ and given you the Holy Spirit to experience this peace, may he give you peace. Shalom.